Hi YouTube. So I'm gonna try to today sort of finish the video that I started a couple days ago, and just elaborate more on the background on the history with me and my biological father. I'm gonna need some more sparkling grape juice for this. I'll be right back. Just bring the whole bottle in here. Like I said before, talking about my dad really makes me want to drink. And I don't want to drink alcohol and be an alcoholic anymore. So I drink sparkling grape juice out of a wine glass to try to trick my brain. I think that a lot of people don't realize just how much it affects a person to not have one of your parents in your life, especially when that's not how it has to be. It's not like that parent is like dead or something. Like when the parent chooses not to be a part of your life. I don't think people really know or understand just how much that affects someone. I didn't even realize how much it affected me until just a couple years ago. I was like realizing that this has affected me and I just don't even know how much. I know that I have some issues. Whenever I realized that I had a drinking problem and I realized that one of the big triggers for me drinking was my dad. And not a lot of people know this about me, because it's not just something that I like talk about, and I don't have that many close friends, so obviously my close friends would know, but I really don't have very many close friends, or any for that matter. But I guess I'll just go all the way back to the beginning and just start with up until the age of 12. I believed that my biological father was the man whose last name I had, whose last name my mom also has. Even though I had a stepdad, I knew that my mom just kept her married name, and I thought that was my dad because I was told that was my dad all my life. I was told that was my dad. And then when I was 12, I don't really know why my mom decided to tell me just out of the blue. She was like, Brandy, I've been lying to you your whole life. This man is not your dad. It's actually this guy instead. And at 12, I can almost, I remember where I was when she told me that. I was in the living room in our house, I remember. And I remember it's just like everything I thought I knew had just vanished. And I lost so much hope because like I had a picture of me and this other man together. And my mom was married to this man when she had me. And it sucks because like he actually wanted to be my dad and he's not. He messages me like every year on my birthday and tells me happy birthday. I talked to him to an extent whenever I first found him, but I haven't really maintained that relationship because it feels a little bit weird because he's just my mom's ex-husband. Like, he's not actually my dad. I just had his last name all my life until I got married. So anyway, I used to have a picture of me and him together. And in 4th grade, I remember I had that picture of us together. And I think I had it like taped to my desk or something. And I would tell all my friends, this is my dad, this is my dad. And then whenever I was 12 and I found out he wasn't my dad, like if that was 4th grade, then I would have been like 6th grade when I was 12. And I was like, well, I've just been telling everybody this is my dad and he's not. Which my mom didn't know that I was like going to school and showing everybody pictures of me and this guy and telling them that he was my dad. My mom didn't know that. And I don't think that she like lied to me about who my dad was for any malicious reason or anything. I think that she thought she was doing what was best for me to not confuse me, maybe because that's the last name I had. I really don't know what her thinking was behind that. I've never really asked her. We've never really talked about it. But I mean, I'm not really angry at her or anything for lying to me about who my dad was. But anyway, when I was 12 and I found out, okay, so this is who my dad really is. All my mom really had to give me to go on was his name and a place where he might possibly live. So I took it upon myself, which another thing my mom did not know. It's not like she told me to go look for him. Quite the opposite, actually. I think she didn't want me to be disappointed and she didn't want me to be hurt or whatever. But when I was 12, I didn't have a computer at home. And I practically lived with my friend Nicole, and she had a computer, and she had the internet and everything. And so I would go to Nicole's house, starting from that time that I found out who my real dad was, and I just started searching for him. I would just, Google search, which at 12 years old, I really didn't know what to do other than just, how do you find people and search in Google? How you find somebody. And I mean, I'm not gonna say that like I searched diligently or like all the time or something. It's just whenever it would come up in my mind, I would look again and see, maybe I'll find something this time that I might feel like I can go somewhere with. And the truth is, I probably found who he was long before I knew that it was the right person. It wasn't until I was 17, I went into foster care when I was 16, more so by my choice. I chose to get the state involved and have myself put into foster care, and I would do it again. My home life was not great. I don't want to bash my mom or my stepdad. That's not what I want to do here, is bash anyone. This was just my experience of life from my perspective. The things that happened to me from my perspective. So at 16, I chose to have myself put into foster care. And I stayed in my first foster home for like 9 months. And while I was living at that foster home, I had access to the internet. And so I again began searching for my dad again. Still only just having a name and a state to go by. And turns out the information that my mom gave me, the city and state and the name, they were right. But that was all I had. And actually, the state of Tennessee was looking for him at the same time that I was. I guess they weren't looking very well, though, because I found him first. And so the way I found my dad was, there are people search websites where, like, I'm pretty sure there's a website probably called peoplesearch.com, which my favorite one now is fastpeoplesearch.com. It gives you way more information. But anyway, at the time, I would just look for people search websites, and I would put in his name and the city and state that my mom had told me. And when you do that, it will give you a list of people that match your search. And most websites within that search give you a limited amount of information. If I would have known about the website Fast People Search that I use now, back then, I would have found him way faster. But anyway, at that time, it gives you limited information before it wants you to put in a credit card and pay money for the rest of it. So as part of the limited information it would give you, it would say this person, age, this, whatever. And then it would give a list of possible relatives. So these are people that this person is possibly related to. Okay. So I went from there, and I started searching for the people in that list. And I went through a lot of people, and I was using Facebook, and I just searched everybody that had that name. I just sent them messages on, like, cold messages, basically, like cold calling through Facebook Messenger, saying, do you know a man named blank, blank, blank? And I got a lot of responses that were like, no, who is this, blah, blah, blah. And then one day, out of the blue, I got a response, and the woman said, yes, he's my brother. And I was like, oh my God, because I think I never expected that I would actually find him. And I mean, I wanted to. I never expected that I would, though. And so I remember whenever I first heard back from who ended up being my aunt, that, she did know my dad. She asked, what's this about? And I told her, I was like, well, I'm 17 and I don't have a father. And, she could tell by looking at me that I looked like my dad. Which I see it. I definitely see the obvious resemblance between me and my dad. But his family, really saw it, And to them, they were like, we don't even need a DNA test. He can tell just by looking at you that you're his kid. But I needed that DNA test because I wanted to know, because I had already went through a period of life of being told that someone was my dad, and turns out he wasn't. And I had that experience once already. So I needed that DNA test because I needed solid proof and solid evidence so that I could know in my mind, this one really is your dad. Okay? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This one is your biological father. This is the person whose DNA is inside you that helped create you into the person that you are. Because that was what I needed and what I wanted to know. Because I've always been on this whole thing of trying to find myself, searching myself. And I always grew up feeling like I did not belong in my family. I was very different from my mom and my sister and my grandmother and my uncle. all of the family on my mom's side, I felt very different from them. And I felt like I was just dropped out of the sky into this family just randomly. Like, I felt like I did not fit here. And so I was always trying to figure out, you know, who I was and why I felt like I was so different. And truthfully, I'm even more different from my dad's family. I'm told that I'm a lot like my dad, but I can't say that I know because I only met him in person one time. But I actually don't have a great relationship with his family. And part of that is because apparently I am very much like my dad. My dad does not have a great relationship with his family. Which, I mean, I know what that feels like because I don't have a relationship with him. So I know how it feels to be like estranged from your family. Even now, like my mom and me, we don't have a super great relationship. It's definitely better than it was when I was younger. As I've grown into an adult, you know, I understand things better than I did when I was young. And so we have a better relationship now. But so anyway, I found my aunt and we exchanged, you know, emails for a little while. She put me in contact with my oldest brother, found out that I had two brothers. I have a brother who is 4 months younger than me, and he's the oldest one. And then there's a brother that's even younger. I think he's like 2 years younger than me. But the one is just 4 months younger than me, so we're very close in age. So that makes me my father's oldest child and also his only daughter. So my aunt put me in contact with my brother, and I talked to my brother a little bit. Like, it's so strange when I think back on it now, because the first time I talked to him, he was so excited, like, oh my gosh, dude, he literally said, dude, you're my sister, like, I have a sister. And he was the same age as me at the time, so he would have been like 17. And he wanted to meet me, and he was excited to get to know me, and very much like my dad, that excitement just disappeared one day, and I don't really know why. I don't remember when I first talked to my youngest brother, but of everyone in my family, the one I probably have talked to the most, as far as like the immediate family of like my dad and my two brothers, would be my youngest brother. He's the one who has opened up and accepted me the most out of anyone, and it's not even a lot. I basically can't bring up my dad, otherwise he'll stop talking to me. I don't really know why. Like, why? Anyway. So I had a pretty close relationship with my aunts and my grandparents for a short period. After everybody found out about me pretty much. And I found out from my brother, which my brother is just like, he totally did not know what I was trying to do here. And I guess I was like manipulating him and wasn't trying to do it in a malicious way. It's just I had a goal. Like, that was something I was after. And so, because I still didn't know how to get in touch with my dad. Nobody would like actually give me his information. I think they passed my information on to him, maybe, and left the ball in his court, but that was not moving fast enough for me. I felt like I deserved and was owed more than that. So I had asked my brother, what's the name of the company that Dad works for? And I mean, because I was curious, one, I wanted to know things about my dad. And so he told me, he works for this company, so and so. And I went and I started looking up and internet searching this company. And upon searching for about this company, I found that everybody in this company I saw some contact information. I was like, everybody in this company has the same email address. It's like the same thing. And that's actually how my work email is now. It's your first name, then a period, then your last name, and then at blah blah blah.com. And I was like, I bet that's what my dad's email is. And I knew his name, so I was like, I'm gonna try it. So I tried it, and oh, lo and behold, yes, that was my dad's email address. He was not very happy for me to have his work email. So he himself actually gave me his personal email address. And my dad and I could go back through I don't use his email address anymore, but I could go back through my old email address and probably see exactly how long we exchanged conversations. Actually, no, because that was not my last email address, but the email address I used before my last one, the one I had in high school. And then I made a more like professional adult email address. We probably exchanged emails for, I'm gonna guess, like maybe 6 months. And I think that's probably pushing it. It probably wasn't even that long. It was probably more like 3. And it's not like we emailed each other often. I mean, I would wait weeks for responses from my dad, and I was anxiously just check my email, and I'm like, did he respond to me yet? And my dad has a very busy job, and he travels a lot, and I get that. I think that he could have taken more time for me, though, considering that you helped create me and you've never had to do anything for me. You didn't have to take part in raising me or have any responsibility for me, anything. Like, you helped create a person and then nothing after that. And I'm not angry about it. It's just the least that you could do was to have spoken to me, or, in a timely manner, or at all for that matter. Anyway, I'm gonna end up getting emotional if I try to think or speak too deeply on the subject. So I'm trying to gloss over it and not really show any real emotions. So me and my dad exchanged emails for a few months. And I had, at the same time, been talking to the rest of my family. I had 2 aunts, and my 2 aunts were married, so that gave me 2 uncles. And I had a whole bunch of cousins, and I had 2 grandparents, which was really strange for me because before I found my dad, I did not have any cousins. No. I had 1 cousin. I think she was like a 3rd cousin, very, very distant cousin. I didn't have any first cousins because in order for me to have first cousins, my uncle, my mom's brother, had to have had kids, and he has not. So I always grew up without any cousins. And even the 1 cousin that we did have that was like a 3rd cousin, I think I only met her like once. So I got pretty close to one of my aunts. I even lived with her for a little while at one point. When I was like 21, lived with her for about 3 months. But that's kind of skipping forward. So my grandparents and one of my aunts drove down from Michigan to Tennessee for my high school graduation. And this was the first time they were meeting me in person. You know, we had spoken, but we had never met each other. I was really nervous to meet them. I think they were nervous to meet me. And, you know, it's a 9-hour trip driving from Michigan to where I lived in Tennessee. So they drove down for my graduation from high school, and I went back with them to Michigan, and I stayed for 2 weeks. And we had like a graduation / hey, let's meet this new member of our family that nobody ever knew about party at my grandparents' house. And I think my brothers were supposed to come. They had said that they were going to. My dad was like definitely not coming. My brothers were supposed to be there though, and they did not show up. So I was disappointed about that, because that would have been the first time I met them, but they didn't show up. Which I mean, I don't blame them for that really, because at the time they were young like me, still living under, you know, their dad's roof. And if our dad was like, no, you're not going, then I mean, I can see that they probably were in a tough position maybe. But now as adults, they still really choose to not have any relationship with me at all. And you know, that's 100% on them, because it's not like, I mean, okay, if dad tells you not to talk to me, then it's not like you're still living with him. What's he gonna do, bend you over his knee and spank you for talking to me? So anyway, I guess my headphones have been on and they're dying. So anyway, I went to Michigan for 2 weeks, and I met a whole bunch of family that I didn't know. And at that point, it was in the middle of I'm trying to remember. Seems like it was in winter time, but if it was graduation, why would it? That would have been the middle of summer. I don't really remember. I know that there was like ice and snow and stuff, and maybe in from Tennessee. It's not like I had really ever seen snow for real. But I had ended up emailing my dad while I was in Michigan, and I was really upset because I had been asking him to come and meet me at some point during the 2 weeks while I'm in town. Like, it's not like you even had to come to me. I came all the way here. Yes, you know, my grandparents brought me there, but I'm right at your back door basically, or your front door. Like, you can come see me now rather than making a trip all the way to Tennessee. It made sense to me. I made it easy for you. And I get that, like, I'm uprooting your life. Like, you have a wife and a family, and I'm like throwing a monkey wrench in the middle of all of that. I get it. And, you know, you were not pleased to find out that you had a daughter. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you weren't pleased to know that I exist and that you have a daughter. It's just like at no point in any of this it seems like my dad has not once thought about like my feelings. it's like he's only thought about himself through all of it. And so it's very frustrating, but it also lets me know where I get my selfishness from. Because maybe I'm doing the same thing and I'm not thinking about him and his feelings. I try really hard to understand his feelings and, figure out what they are, because I have no clue. So anyway, I emailed him and was asking him, begging him to come meet me while I'm in town. I'm only going to be here in town for 2 weeks. Please come and meet me let me meet you while I'm here. Like, give me the opportunity to meet you face to face in person. Something I never ever thought I was going to get to do in my life. Just, it was like a dream for me. It was like a dream come true to get to meet my dad. But little did I know that dream would turn into a nightmare. He agreed to come and meet me, and it was horrible, to be honest. Yeah, it was awful. It was me and him and his wife and my 2 brothers. And we met at a place called Bullfrogs, I remember. It was like a sports bar. So there were a lot of distractions around, and I think that was strategically planned. My brothers pretty much just watched ESPN most of the time. Nobody really spoke to me. And so it was very much an awkward situation of me just like sitting there with a bunch of strangers, like eating. And I couldn't even really eat because I had just had like some oral surgery done. And so I was eating French onion soup. I remember like trying to eat this soup with my braces, or not braces, I hadn't had my braces yet. Or maybe I did have braces. I think I might have. But anyway, I had some surgery, so. But the very first words that my dad ever said to me in person were, "We don't talk very much, so don't." Those were the first words that my father said to me in person. And actually, out of all the words that my dad ever said to me in person, those are probably the only ones that I really remember very well, because they kind of stuck. But, so, and he was right, they didn't talk very much. And so I took it. I'm a chatty person, I guess. I'm slow to speak whenever I'm first meeting somebody, but I can be chatty once I get to know you and I feel comfortable. So we just kind of sat there and had a pretty silent dinner. And my dad gave me a Christmas present, and it was an iPod, and on it, it said it was from my brothers. Okay. And it was nice, and to me, I was like, oh wow, I've never had an iPod before, so I was pretty actually excited to get an iPod because I had never had one. And of all the iPods you can get, it was the cheapest iPod you could get, which, whatever, that's fine. I was still excited to get it because still more than I ever had. So at one point in the dinner, him and his wife kind of just like whispered in each other's ears the whole time. And it was like, okay, obviously, I'm pretty sure you're probably whispering about me right in front of my face. So thank you for that. As if this is not already awkward for me, the 17, or no, I was like 19 at the time, like the 19-year-old. As if this is not awkward for me, whatever. And then like they were whispering, and then he looked at me and he was like, because I wore glasses, I have bad vision, I'm wearing contacts right now. And he asked me if my mom wears glasses. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure she's supposed to, but she doesn't. And it's like he was sitting there trying to still find a way to think, maybe she's not my kid. Like looking at my genetics. And we already did the DNA test, okay? Which he was pissed about, by the way, because we did the DNA test without him. We did it with just me and my grandparents. And it came back like 99 and 98% that I was related to them. Okay, that takes away any deniability, which is what upset him, because it took away his ability to say, well, she's not my kid. So yeah, the dinner was like over, and I guess on the way out, like they saw somebody he knew. I think maybe it was somebody he works with or something. And I feel like he was thinking, oh shit, I hope that they don't ask who this girl is. I'm sure they were wondering though, especially if I look as much like him as everybody says that I do. I did not expect or plan for this video to be this long. And I'm really not even talking about my feelings about any of it. It's just I'm giving you the lay of it. So that was the only time that I ever met my dad in person. Yeah. My brothers were on a swim team, and they had a swim meet that my grandparents took me to their swim meet, and I think my dad was supposed to be there, and because he found out that I was there, he decided not to go. So as to avoid seeing me or having to speak to me or anything. And I was excited because I thought I would get to see him again. And it's weird, like I hate whenever I'm plagued or struck with, every once in a while I'll have a dream about my dad, and in the dreams he's sort of distant and unaccepting, but he comes around and ends up wanting to have a relationship with me. So I really hate having those dreams, because when I wake up, I'm like, I just want to go back to that dream where that's what was real. Because I wake up to the reality that my dad does not want anything to do with me. It's like he hates me, and I don't really know why. And it's like, how can I love somebody so much and so badly want a relationship with somebody who has made it absolutely clear that they do not want anything to do with me, and they have no love towards me or no positive feelings towards me. I don't understand myself about it. And that was the last thing that we talked about in therapy, and I told my therapist that it makes me feel stupid, and it makes me like hate myself for wanting to have a relationship with him still. Like, why can I not just like get in my head that It's not gonna happen, okay? Like, he's made it clear. He doesn't want anything to do with you. So just let it go. But I can't let it go. And I still always hold on to just this tiniest little bit of ray of hope that maybe someday that relationship that I so badly want will happen. And maybe I will be 40 or 50 years old before it happens, but maybe it'll happen. And I just don't feel like I can let go of that little tiny ray of hope. Like, I just can't let that go. Anyway, I guess that is the end of the story. That is the story of me and my dad. I think that my lack of relationship with my biological father is why I struggle sometimes with how I see my heavenly father, because obviously I have abandonment issues, and my therapist asked me, oh, so you feel abandoned by him? I was like, yes, obviously, but not just, he didn't abandon me once, but twice. He abandoned me at birth, and he doesn't know that I know that he knew about me. He knew about me when I was a baby, and he chose not to look for me. He chose then to have nothing to do with me. He doesn't know that I know this. I never told him. And it's okay. Like, I forgive him for not wanting me then. And then, so when I came into the picture and I sought him out, which you would think that he would have had to have known that this was a possibility, that it could happen someday. If you knew that you had a child out there somewhere, there's a chance that kid might come back someday looking for you. So not only did he abandon me then, he abandoned me a second time when he chose to open the door of communication with me and then slam it shut. Because after that time that we met in person, we exchanged a couple more emails after that time of meeting, and then one day I wrote back a response to an email he had sent, and I never got a reply. Just cold turkey, cut off. Just, he never responded, and he has never responded to any attempts I've made to contact him since then. And it's been like 6 or 7 years now since he cut off contact, and I still don't know why. I feel like even if he told me, I don't want to have a relationship with you, I think that I could respect your wishes more if you would just tell me why. Just give me a reason. It would maybe give me some sort of closure to just have a reason, because right now I don't know. He started to talk to me, then he stopped, and I don't know why. I don't know if it was something I did or what, or even if it was something I did, whatever. Like, you're the parent here. Anyway, I'm gonna end this video now because I'm starting to get emotional. And now I'm just gonna like go and be sad and listen to music that makes me think about my dad. And just like wallow around in that sadness, because that's what I do. So thanks for listening to my horribly embarrassing story of being rejected by my father.